This show just gets worse. Galadriel's talking to the Queen of Númenor and planning the voyage. Galadriel's volunteered Halbrand to go to the south without his knowledge or consent. Galadriel's told the Queen that Halbrand is all for it. This after he told her no several times. She's treating him like a slave again, and this after he saved her life. I bet at this point he's wishing he didn't. The people that wrote this series thought that these were the features of a role model. Please, nobody emulate Galadriel. Meanwhile, Pharazôn is doing political manoeuvring. His son questions why he's serving the elves and going along with the expedition. His son hates the idea. Pharazôn wants the expedition. He claims that he thinks Númenor can get resources from the south after they save them. He says he wants the elves to bow to man. His son still wants the voyage cancelled for reasons. So after being refused by his father for the expedition, Isildur stows away on one of the ships. Pharazôn's son comes aboard to sabotage the expedition by burning the boats. He removes stoppers from barrels containing oil and intends to light it using a lantern. Isildur catches him and tries to stop him, and in the struggle the lantern gets broken and the ship's on fire. They run as the ship explodes and Isildur saves Pharazôn's son's life. And what the hell was that explosion? What were the barrels for? They explode like the barrels in Doom. Speaking of which, I could be watching Doom right now, or playing it instead of watching this. What were they even storing? Nitroglycerin in barrels made from gelignite? What was the rest of the hull filled with? Daisy cutters? Why is your ship's hold filled with flammable and highly explosive oil, you goofy sods? The Númenoris take less care with explosives than the average drunk Russian serviceman. And saving the son seems to get Isildur on the voyage for some reason, not sure why. It happened off camera again. Maybe at some point the show will deign to tell me. Maybe he got the job for saving Pharazôn's son, and maybe for keeping the arson secret. I have no idea. Not sure why Isildur didn't tell his father that the fleet was in danger from a saboteur, especially considering him and his father are both going to be on the ships that are in danger. But Isildur's dad is still not happy with him. So Isildur now has a job under the stable master mucking out the horses. So next question, where are the horses going? Where are you fitting horses on those ships? Where's anyone sleeping for that matter? Where are the supplies going? There doesn't seem to be much room, considering from that explosion the hold seems to already be filled with antimatter. The ships are massively undersized. From the maps of Middle-earth I've seen, they're looking at quite a long journey in the region of 3,500 kilometres. That's about the size of a transatlantic voyage going from Portsmouth in England to Newfoundland. So they're looking for a travel time in the region of around 66 days. If you want to move any volume of horses to another continent, as well as supplies, you're going to need ships the size of a galleon. Maybe a Dutch flute. You're going to need something with real cargo capacity. Look at the ships. Where are they putting the horses? Just no thought went into this show. That feeling when me watching it seems to care more than the people who wrote it. Oh god, it's the Harfoots again. And they're eating raw snails for a change. Now, eating raw snails is a catastrophically bad idea, much like this show. Snails are not even great when they're properly cooked with garlic. They're still like slightly garlicky vulcanised rubber tinged with the endearing taste of snail. But you can also catch nasty parasites from them, much like watching this show, leading to diseases like schistosomiasis or rat lungworm that can make a person very sick or even dead. So don't be a Harfoot. The Harfoots are morons. Also, if a friend gets injured, don't leave them to die. And when your only defence is staying hidden, maybe don't sing obnoxiously at the top of your lungs when everything in the world hates you or wants to eat you. How are any of these creatures still alive? So we get more time with the Harfoots and absolutely nothing of value happens. It's a complete waste of time. One Harfoot woman blames the Brandyfoots for there not being enough food in the forest that they go to, so she wants to take the wheels off their carts and leave them to die. The Harfoots are morally reprehensible, and what's worse, the showrunners seem to think they're laudable. Again, the people who wrote this seem to think that they are suitable role models for anyone. Later the Harfoots are attacked by wolves and saved by Gandalf. This whole plot thread was a waste of time. It did absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, in the Southlands, Plank has delivered the message from Adar, so a load of the Southlanders, who strangely have Yorkshire accents, leave the tower to go to Adar and serve him, and still none of this makes any sense at all. Why did they even stop at the tower? They're just civilians, not trained to fight. Why has nobody gone to tell the elves about Adar and the orc invasion? This is nonsense. Bronwyn's son tells Plank about the sword, and it seems to be the key to something. So yes, why are they all not running still? Take the sword and go to Gil-galad and warn him. No? No, you're gonna fight the orc army with some civilians. Makes perfect sense. And if you lose, they get the key they were looking for all this time, and you're all dead or slaves, and no one can warn Gil-galad. Makes perfect sense. What was the purpose of the watchtower? Were you going to fight Sauron with 4 elves, or was the whole purpose in the first place to keep a lookout and report any trouble? Up to now, I've been very hard on Ishmael Cruz Cordova, cruelly dubbing him Plank, because his performance has been so far consistently flat and wooden, but I'm increasingly convinced it's not his fault at all. I may have to go and watch him in something else to confirm he isn't normally this bad. I don't know much about his prior work, but what I do know is that Joseph Moore playing Adar is a very capable actor, and the performance they're getting out of him is very flat as well. So, is it the directors? They've only had 2 directors so far on The Rings of Power. A Spanish director called J.A. Bayona, who did episodes 1 and 2, and a British director called Wayne Yip, who did the remainder. Neither of them seem very inexperienced, so I don't get it. I've seen some of Wayne Yip's work before. He did some episodes for Doctor Who and Preacher, and they were fine. So, is it the writers, J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay? I have to think so. These two have only done one other project before this, and that was Star Trek Beyond as uncredited writers. So they're the common denominator. A bad director can get a flat performance, but 2 different directors, both getting a flat performance out of an otherwise good actor? I'm thinking it's the writers and the creatives. At the end of the episode, the Númenórean expedition goes ahead with the 3 remaining ships and they set sail. And at this point, Amazon have gone so far from the source material, I have no idea why they didn't write an original fantasy series instead of this. In the source material, Ar-Pharazôn, the king of Númenor, landed at Umbar with a great fleet, and the people on the coasts fled before them. In the Rings of Power, Pharazôn is not king, and the great fleet appears to be 3 small ships.